Here's my plan to dismantle the deep state and reclaim our democracy from Washington corruption once and for all. And corruption it is.
Trump's main campaign platforms, one of the main things that he talks about, and of course, I think he learned in some ways the hard way during his first 4 years in office, is the president recognizes that if you have people in your government who you tell to do something and they disobey you, that's not like checks and balances. They're part of your government.
All right, guys, let's discuss the presidential transition today because there is a lot to be excited about, but it's also important to recognize this is going to be the next battle, right? Obviously, we are still celebrating the results of November 5th as we should, but at the same time, it's important to remember the American people gave us this mandate for a reason, and if we are going to implement the policies that Trump got elected on, we need to be cognizant of the fact that there's going to be extreme Democrat pushback, number one, and number two, perhaps the same type of neocon subversion attempts that you saw during the first term. So what is Trump talking about? What kind of people are going to be in his cabinet? Where is it currently standing? We'll tell you about that in today's video. So folks, do us a big favor. If you're enjoying the content, be sure to hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Let's try to get the channel to 400,000 subs before the end of the year. It's going to be a fun 4 years. The momentum is just beginning. Help us ride it by hitting that red button. And with that said, one of the first things that Trump went out and said is that, yes, mass deportations were not just a campaign slogan. They're going to be beginning on day one. And that is so, so important. That's an important mistake. I would argue we need to learn from the first time around. We cannot wait until after the first midterm to really try to tackle this immigration issue. You got to do it immediately. And here's the big thing as well. Mass deportations, even though the American people gave us the mandate to do them, and they are necessary given the current state of the crisis in this country, are going to be unpopular at first. Even if the overwhelming majority by polls say that they support mass deportations, a lot of people are going to coil when the media starts saying, oh my gosh, look how mean they are. Look at this. They're going to compare it to ridiculous things like the Holocaust or whatever. You know where this is going, right? So that's all to say. I think in the end, this will be something that the American people ultimately thank the Trump administration for when they realize, hey, housing is a lot cheaper, crime is a lot lower, wages are way up, space in this country is just generally in a better situation. But at the beginning, again, it's going to be unpopular. And that's why you can't wait till 2027, in which case 2028, all they're going to be doing to attack J.D. Vance, the presumptive candidate, then is good. Oh my gosh, he's so mean. No. Get it done now. Get it out of the way while you still are looking like you're going to have a GOP trifecta. And very glad to see Trump, the moment he got elected, he's thinking about legacy here, did not back off of that at all. Now, immediately, you are already seeing the return of sanctuary states. For instance, Gavin Newsom, according to Victor Shi here, the way he writes here is so funny, but he says, Gavin Newsom is already starting the resistance against Trump as he just called for a special legislative session of California to increase funding to fight Trump. This is what they're doing with the state, okay? So by the way, as someone who grew up in California, I will tell you, it probably has the highest in-state tax burden in this country. Income tax statewide is ridiculous. You pay gas tax, you pay a wild property tax, like you pay taxes on everything in this state. And they don't fix the roads, they don't fix the education, but they're going to increase funding to quote unquote fight Trump. That is what is coming. The sanctuary states are coming. Look, let me say this right now to the blue governors. You have 1 year. Okay, because I think the priority should be to honestly start by deporting the illegals from the swing states and the red states, right? But eventually it's coming to, okay, it's going to be very interesting to see, though, how that difference in federal versus state authority ends up playing out. But I would say if you need to threaten these states by withholding funding or aid or federal support or infrastructure, whatever it is, I say it is necessary. Again, this was not a razor thin election. The American people, including including many Californians, look at the trends there, went way more Republican than usual, gave us the mandate because they're pissed about this immigration issue. You have these people trying to do a coup against democracy to oppose it. It's laughable. Got to get that done. But anyways, that's the immigration front, and we'll see how that plays out. Online privacy is not a luxury. It is a right, but it is not a right that big businesses or governments typically respect. And in a world where data is constantly tracked and sold, keeping your information safe is more important than ever. That's why I want to introduce you to Proton VPN, part of the Proton ecosystem, which is all about putting privacy first. For those of you who are unfamiliar with what a VPN does, well, think about this. Every time you log on to public Wi-Fi at a coffee shop, airport, wherever, your personal data is vulnerable. Hackers can tap into your passwords, messages, even banking info. And it's not just the hackers. Internet providers and big tech companies can track what you do, build a profile on you, and sell that data. And if you do live in a country or you're visiting one with browsing restrictions, you also would know all about firewalls. That's where Proton VPN comes in, ensuring that you are in control of your own digital privacy. But here's why Proton VPN is different, because there's a lot of VPNs out there. Well, it was created by a team of scientists who met at CERN and believed that privacy should be the default on the internet. So they launched Proton VPN out of Switzerland. Very interesting, where strong privacy laws back their no logs policy. With over 6,500 servers worldwide, you can securely access your favorite content from anywhere, whether it's streaming, gaming, or just browsing privately. And with their VPN accelerator, you'll enjoy speeds of up to 400% faster. And Proton VPN is also fully open source, meaning that its code is available for anyone to inspect. And that transparency is a game changer in an industry where trust is everything. So for a limited time, get up to 64% off on Proton VPN using the link in my description, starting at just $3.59 a month with a 30-day money-back guarantee. And that is a very good rate, by the way, in the VPN market. Again, go to the link in my description, check out Proton VPN, and secure your internet privacy today. Now, today, Donald Trump announced a plan to dismantle the deep state. You may be asking, how is he going to handle this bureaucracy issue? He didn't do a ton to touch it the first term. Is he finally going to follow through on that promise? We'll take a look. Number one, he says he's immediately going to reissue his 2020 executive order, restoring the president's authority to remove rogue bureaucrats. So you're no longer going to have the situation where you have these lifelong civil servants that don't do anything, or in some cases, they actively undermine the will of the people, but they're impossible to fire, right? Those protections are being removed. He's going to clean out all of the corrupt actors in our national security and intelligence apparatus, totally reform FISA courts, which are so corrupt that the judges do not seem to care when they're lied to in warrant applications. By the way, Trump knows all about this from the Russia thing the first time around. Expose the hoaxes and abuses of power, launch a major crackdown on government leakers who collude with the fake news to deliberately spread false narratives and subvert our government, make every inspector general's office independent, ask Congress to establish an independent auditing system to continually monitor our intelligence agencies, continue the effort to move parts of the sprawling federal bureaucracy in Washington away from the swamp to new locations. Today, he came out and hinted that he may be moving, for instance, the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, outside of DC, maybe to a place where conservation is actually valued and important. It's not just a ideological thing about climate change out there. So there you have it so far. I'm sure that the surrogates like RFK Jr., Elon Musk, maybe even Tulsi Gabbard, people like that, were pretty influential in this drain the swamp thing. But another aspect that is kind of underrated, like this is going to be very iconic, and honestly, it might be good just for the long-term spirit of this country, is that Donald Trump is going to be president during the 250th birthday, or centennial, whatever, of America, right? 1776 to 2026. And he is planning, take a listen here, a gigantic epic celebration. I'm sure the media is going to compare this to Hitler in some way. I don't know how, but take a listen.
3 years from now, the United States will celebrate the biggest and most important milestone in our country's history. 250 years of American independence. What a great country. And we have to keep it that way. But that's why, as a nation, we should be preparing for a most spectacular birthday party. We want to make it the best of all time. Here is my plan to give America's founding in 1776 the incredible anniversary it truly deserves. On day one, I will convene a White House task force called Salute to America 250. It will be responsible for coordinating with state and local governments to ensure not just one day of celebration, but an entire year of festivities across the nation, starting on Memorial Day 2025 and continuing through July 4th, 2026. Second, I will work with all 50 governors, Republican and Democrat alike, to create the Great American State Fair, a unique one-year exhibition featuring pavilions from all 50 states. It'll be something. The Great American State Fair will showcase the glory of every state in the Union, promote pride in our history, and put forth innovative visions for America's future. My hope is that the amazing people of Iowa will work with my administration to open up the legendary Iowa State Fairgrounds to host the Great American State Fair and welcome millions and millions of visitors from around the world to the heartland of America for this special one-time festival.
Yeah, so this sounds awesome. And you know that America's 250th birthday is going to be really cool. The biggest, the best ever with Donald Trump at the helm. I'm going to that state fair, by the way. Okay, sounds great. But of course, the biggest question when we talk about all these policies is who's going to be there to help Trump implement those policies, aka what kind of people are going to be staffing his cabinet. And we've heard some different things, right? For one, some people were saying, I think Fox News was reporting that like Mike Pompeo and Marco Rubio were being considered for the cabinet. RFK Jr. came out and said they're both war hawks and he told Trump not to do that. Who knows? I mean, we'll have to ultimately see. I wouldn't freak out too much over rumored cabinet picks considering, remember the whole VP thing? Okay. Remember how there were a million different candidates for VP and then it ended up being JD Vance and everyone else, it seems like, was a smokescreen at first. So we'll have to see. But this is very important also, I think, for the base to advocate the type of people that they want. Right? For instance, Secretary of State, we don't want some neocon, right? Overseeing government bureaucracy. We don't need some type of NSA George Bush era person. Okay, so whatever. We'll get that figured out. We'll have to ultimately see. But the first major pick he made is that Susan Wiles, who was the campaign manager, essentially oversaw, she was running the 2024 Trump presidential campaign, is going to be in charge. Trump put out this statement saying that the 45th and 47th president, Donald J. Trump, announced that Susan Wiles, the winning campaign manager for President Trump's highly successful 2024 campaign, will be named President Trump's White House Chief of Staff. Susie Wiles helped me achieve one of the greatest political victories in American history. That is true, by the way, and was an integral part of both my 2016 and 2020 campaigns. Susie is tough, smart, innovative, and is universally admired and respected. Susie will continue to work tirelessly to make America great again. It is a well-deserved honor to have Susie as the first ever female chief of staff in United States history. Now, there are people who have wildly different takes on this, right? Some people love the pick. Some people hate it. Some people are concerned that Jeb Bush, for instance, said that Susie Wiles was a good pick. Other people are saying, well, she's actually been loyal to Trump since day one. She was around back in 2016. She did not abandon him. And she obviously delivered a very successful presidential campaign this time around. I would also point out a very disciplined campaign. Right? When you compare 2024 to 2020 and even 2016, I would argue that's the biggest difference. It was organized. It was highly competent. The messaging, they knew exactly what they were doing. Economy, immigration, hammer that home. Even when you look at turnover, there's not this chaotic campaign where people are constantly coming in, leaving, backstabbing each other. Notice how there's very little of that, like nobody turned on Trump in 2024. So whatever you think of Susie Wiles' ideology, some people are concerned that she's a neocon. Some people say she's just a very competent operator and ideologically it doesn't really matter. The part you're undeniably getting here is competence and organization. Okay. And I think that alone will go a long way in just ensuring that the Trump administration is actually efficient and the White House is not just like in total anarchy all the time, which it seemed like in the first term was, sometimes the case. But the big thing, again, some people like don't like her, some people do like her. What I have heard, and a part of the reason why the neocons and also a lot of the base mutually like Susie Wiles is that she basically, during this campaign, did not really restrict access to President Trump, right? She let, whether it was a hardcore MAGA person from the base or an establishment neocon, if they wanted to meet with Trump, talk to Trump, she would let both of them do it, right? And you saw this in kind of the coalition that Trump built. He still had the support of the mainstream Republican Party, but under the management of Susie Wiles, that's also where RFK Jr. became part of the tent. Elon Musk, people like that. So I combine all of it to say, again, first of all, Susie Wiles, competent and organized. But even on ideology, if she's going to give the base, the MAGA people, the America First people, an actual seat at the table and not going to try to deny us the ability to talk to the president or whatever, not try to steer him in one direction or the other, just let him hear from everyone and make his own decisions, I think we'll be perfectly fine. Right? We win on the arguments. Trump has already a natural disdain, especially from the first time around, for the establishment people, for the warhawks, for the neocons. I think so long as, again, it's organized and we are allowed that seat at the table, we got it, right? I think we will be fine. So we'll have to see how Susie Wiles, for instance, pans out as chief of staff. But I'm very curious to find out what your guys' thoughts are on that pick. Again, kind of different. Look, she ran that campaign, okay, where you sweep all 7 battleground states or whatever. If you can be nearly as effective of a chief of staff as you were the campaign manager, good position. Again, good position. But yeah, all right, with that said, again, here you have it. Trump announcing some bold new, actually not really new, but bold plans, doubling down on the things so far that he got elected on, number one. Number two, Susan Wiles as the chief of staff. Let me know your thoughts. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe if you're new, and until next time, God bless. Check out our friends at Proton VPN, and peace.